much for circling up today to better understand your ballot. The Policy Circle, we are working really hard to give you timely information that can lead to an impact. And there will be no greater impact this year than your vote. And that is why we have created these webinars for the election series. And we are super excited to get started today. But before we do, I'd like you all to chat to me where you are circling up from, because it's fun to see our impact across the country. So put it in the chat where you're circling up from, and then we will get started with one of our amazing partners of Ballotpedia. If you've been reading a lot of our briefs, you will find that Ballotpedia is a wonderful partner of ours, great resource for our ladies. And this conversation today, though, starts with our active voter guide. So if you have not read the active voter guide, I encourage you to read it. We will link it into the chat. I love it. We've got people from Illinois, people from New Jersey. I'm from Illinois. I know that we've got Allison from Ballotpedia and from Wisconsin. So this is so fun. Thank you again for everybody who's joining us. And again, this conversation starts with our active voter guide. So if you haven't read it, please read it today, share it with other people. It comes with a share button on it. Click on that, put in people's email addresses. The more we share and become sparks of knowledge for other people, the more impact we are having across the country. So just a quick poll. How many of you, I'm going to launch this poll before we get started. How many of you know what is actually on your ballot this year? Because it's more than just voting for president. Every single ballot is different from state to state and from city to city. So knowing what is on your ballot is really, really important, because we have a lot of impact on the local level. So that's what we are going to be talking about today. Learning what's on your ballot, how to cast your ballot. There's so many questions surrounding this as a new territory with COVID and all the changes that have been going on in 2020. So let's see, we got a lot of yeses and some no's. We're 50-50 right now with this, but this is why we are having this conversation today. So at this point, I would love to introduce you to Allison Prange. She is with Ballotpedia. She is the Vice President of Ballotpedia, and she's going to walk us through some of the tools that Ballotpedia has. And Welcome, Allison. It's so nice to have you. I know you're going to go through a slide with us, but just kind of give us a quick overview of the mission and, why Ballotpedia came into existence. What was the catalyst for starting Ballotpedia? Welcome.
Hi, thank you so much, Judy. It's awesome to be here today and to have an opportunity to talk to all the Policy Circle members across the country. It's always exciting and always fun to connect and to hear about the interesting issues that you guys are talking about. I'm the Vice President of External Relations, as Judy mentioned, at Ballotpedia. And Ballotpedia's mission is kind of our tag is the Encyclopedia of American Politics. And we were founded in 2007 with an idea and an eye toward providing people unbiased information about the important issues on their ballot. And our founder, Leslie Graves, who's also from Wisconsin, started it to give people, because she was looking at ballot initiatives. And I don't know how many of people listening today have gone to their ballot and looked at a ballot and wondered what that ballot initiative actually means. I confess, back in my early days of voting, I would think about the one or two offices I was interested in and think about who I was voting for and not do my homework. Ballotpedia was founded to give people an opportunity to do their homework before they vote and to really dig deeply into American politics and policy, but without editorial comment, really just the facts and providing people with perspectives from both sides of the issues.
That is awesome. And, today it seems like we are inundated with information from news sources. So it's nice to have a source where you can go to that is just give me the facts, ma'am, right? Like just boil it down, because most of us, if we will take time to learn, we can come up with the answers ourselves. We don't need people bossing us around, right? So
right. And yeah. We were here so people have the chance to take the time when they want to take time and when they have time to really dig deep or take a quick look at what's on their ballot. Whatever they're interested in, we hope to be able to provide. And I'm going to walk through, I know we talked about that, a little bit of who we are, and just give people a little bit more information, because and I'm going to quick share my screen. And it's always fun, these little technical things as we're moving through. Sorry, Judy, I just need to click over to sharing my screen.
That's fine. Take your time. We know the tech gods don't always agree with us, so it's fine.
All right. Hopefully pretty well today. And just want to jump in here, and hopefully you're able to see my screen now, and move into presentation mode. You heard me talk about being the encyclopedia of American politics. When I joined Ballotpedia in January, I did one of the really exciting things for me about joining this team, which is spread across the country. We have about 80 members of our staff, a lot of them who work on our editorial team, providing all of the amazing content you will see if you come to our website, was because we're delivering information without bias to people who are interested in finding out more about public policy and American politics. And just to give you a quick snapshot, these are just a few of the things that we cover. And we cover elected offices. Obviously, the President of the United States is one that everybody talks about, and often the federal government is talked about. But what we also cover are things that are much further down the ballot, but they have a tremendous impact on the way we live our lives in our backyards, from covering municipal elections in the country's largest 100 cities, like city council, other key offices at those levels, school board elections in the country's 200 largest school districts, and then covering state Supreme Courts and the state legislature. And going back to where we started, coverage of ballot measures, both at the state and then notable local ones. But we also cover process laws relating to politics, as you can see from the slide. And I wanted to point this out, and that's why I wanted to show a couple of these slides today, because I don't think any time in history has seen so many process changes. Don't hold me to that, but this year I think is different than anybody could have ever imagined. And one of the things that we are working on and have been working on since the start of the pandemic is really digging into some of the rapidly changing processes that affect how people can vote, from access laws for ballots to laws that might govern recount procedures going forward after November 3rd, to digging into the election changes that are happening almost every day about when you can have to have your ballot in. Speaking from Wisconsin, there is active litigation here that is covering whether people are able to have their absentee ballot counted after the election day, or if the cutoff will be 8 o'clock election night, which it has been in the past. So we're covering things like that that are relevant, and we do provide day-to-day information about these changes. And then also in 2021, something that we'll cover is redistricting. And just a little snapshot of how Ballotpedia has grown since we started in 2010 really would be the day or the year I would use. But 9% of voters were Ballotpedia readers in 2014. And when you think about that, that's obviously a pretty staggering amount. But when you flash forward ahead to both 2016 and 2018, we saw a significant number of growth in people that came to our website for our unbiased information. And you'll notice in 2018, we saw 22.5% of all voters in the elections across the country in fall of 2018 utilized Ballotpedia. As I talk to you today, we are on track to exceed that and anticipate close to 30% of all voters in the elections in November will utilize Ballotpedia to make their decisions, to educate themselves about the election. And just wanted to also point out, because I know all of the women that participate in the policy circle really dig deep into policy and to a lot of the things that are happening both in current politics, but also in public policy and policy issues. We have a lot of newsletters with Ballotpedia, I think 18 and counting today, and they're free for people that come to our website and subscribe. And just wanted to point out that over 504,000 people today receive these in their inbox every day. And we really have a broad reach of 35% of people that get them open them. And just a quick snapshot, because I know that a lot of you have diverse interests across the country and some of our newsletters that we have available, and specifically want to draw attention to our daily and weekly brew, because they provide an amazing overview of the big stories of the week, of races that we're following, and are a great way if you're looking to catch up on things. And then also draw attention to other information that we have, like our checks and balances newsletter and daily presidential news briefing. And so if you ever are interested, those are available on our website. Just wanted to provide them to show you that we've got a lot of information out there, from coverage of Supreme Courts to other things across the country that are relevant. And something new, as we're here talking about elections and voting, I wanted to draw your attention to that we launched this week is our election help desk. And this help desk, I can let you read the slide, is goes along with a newsletter that we are going to be sending out. And it's really going to talk about some of those things I mentioned earlier. If there are election changes in your state, if there are changes to the process, whether a absentee ballot is going to be counted by election date or counted after election date because it's stuck in the mail somewhere. Some of those things are things that we will cover. We'll also cover something that I mentioned a little earlier, all of the litigation that is anticipated around the election, not just at the federal level, but we anticipate the potential for litigation in other races. And so we will cover that closely. We already are doing that today, but we'll track lawsuits if they come from either the major presidential campaigns or other campaigns that are running for that office. And so you can look for that information from us. And then we'll also answer one frequently, as you can see, asked question about elections. So as we curate those questions that come in from our many millions of readers, we will be making sure to highlight the ones that are most frequently asked. And then just a quick snapshot about what I'll go over a little further. Our sample ballot lookup tool is something that we are providing, and we'll walk through that. And then just wanted to point out to you some of our things that we think of as innovative that Ballotpedia has launched, from providing the pop-up newsletters that I showed you, to our candidate connection, which is our version of the candidate survey. And we use that survey then to populate information on your ballot. So when you use the sample ballot lookup tool, candidates' responses pop up when people are doing research on who's on the ballot in their state or in their city. And given the coverage and the reach that Ballotpedia has, we've been seeing an increase in the people filling out those candidate connection surveys and really helping people running for office, particularly at levels down the ballot where they might not have websites or Facebook pages, a way to connect directly to voters. So with that, I'm done with my presentation, and I can move into the sample ballot, Judy, or I can answer any questions.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, we're going to move into the sample ballot with one of our circle leaders, but I wanted to mention real quick that I had a great mom moment, and Ballotpedia helped me with it. My daughter called me and said, "Mom, I just moved and I don't know where I'm supposed to vote now." And I said, "I've got a great tool for you." And I actually downloaded your app. You have a Ballotpedia app, and I downloaded it onto my phone, and I did research candidates, and I did see, what they said, how they answered the question. So it was great for me, and I was able to share that app with the rest of my family. I just sent it in a text to my daughter and my other daughter, my son, and my, just everybody in my family to educate them. So very easy, very useful. So I encourage everybody to download the Ballotpedia app. And at this point, we are going to go into that sample ballot, that tool that is available via Ballotpedia. And we have a circle leader on the line right now, Alana Gordon, who is doing an amazing job. She's a new circle leader volunteer, and she's already hosted a few conversations, and she's working hard to get the Russian community in the Chicago area registered to vote. So she is one of our leaders that is being impactful. So Alana, welcome to the webinar on Understanding Your Ballot. We're glad to have you here. And now I'll let you and Allison take it away.
Good morning. So happy to be here.
Hi, Alana. It's great to get a chance to be here with you.
Hi, Allison.
And Alana and I had a chance to connect a little bit before the call, and we're going to walk through Alana's ballot today, and we'll show you how to use Ballotpedia's sample ballot lookup tool. And Judy, thank you so much for mentioning our app, which is My Vote Engage. If you're going to the App Store or to the Android store for apps, you can download what you're looking at now, or as I'm going to show you, use it on our website. And so this is what the sample ballot lookup tool looks like when you arrive to Ballotpedia's website. You can click into it off of our main page, or you can use the little search bar up here if you happen to be on another page to find the sample ballot lookup tool. And I'm going to take a minute and walk Alana through her ballot. And as you can see, you would enter your street address and your city and state. And then you can can add your email, but you do not have to if that's not something you want to share. And then you would click on View My Ballot. And so we actually did a little cheating and pulled up Alana's sample ballot beforehand just to click right into it to be able to walk you through this. And you can see on here what you would be looking at and be populated. I know, Alana, you got your ballot in the mail, I think you said, and wanted to
Yes, I did.
see how does this compare to what you're looking at and what you got in the mail?
So far it looks the same.
Good to know. It's always good.
Yeah,
No,
right.
we anticipate that. But
Same president, same vice president.
Good.
So far so good. But I did not realize how many parties were actually running for president. So that was interesting.
No, that's a good point.
There are
to me.
6.
Yeah, and I can actually, it's funny that you mentioned that. I'm going to click into what happens if you click into a candidate. And here's Howie Hawkins, who's running as part of the Green Party. And you can see that he filled out a candidate connection survey and understand some of the things that he said. So that's just a quick example of some of the things information you can find by using our sample ballot lookup tool. But just, yeah, there are quite a few of them. For ballot, I know one of the things that we talked about was the ballot measures that Ballotpedia covers on these. And I know there's several people from Illinois on this call today and wanted to be sure to highlight our ballot coverage and was just going to click on this. And I don't know, Judy or Alana, if you want to talk about this at all, but I thought I could at least point out how Ballotpedia covers ballot initiatives and point out again the way we cover things in an unbiased nature and our focus in providing people with just the facts. And so this is obviously a significant ballot initiative in Illinois this year. It's the one that's popping up on your ballot as the state one. And you can see at the top that we clearly highlight a vote yes supports X, and I'll let you read it, and a vote no opposes this amendment. And want to just draw that distinction because we state the question and what they will see on the ballot. And then we go through, and you will find this across the country in states where there are ballot initiatives at the state level and where there are notable local ballot initiatives. You will find this kind of in-depth information about what these ballot initiatives would do. And not only do we provide an overview, we talk about how the state will compare to other states that pass similar ones, and conversely don't pass them. And we also talk about who is behind the campaigns surrounding the ballot measures. And so you can see this. I mean, we hear a lot of discussion about special interest groups on both sides of the aisle, and Ballotpedia works to show and provide just a lens for everybody to take a look at who is supporting what and where the money might lie on both sides of the ballot measures. And then just taking you down to show you what the ballot title would be and how it would change the Illinois Constitution. And then continuing to go down through this, we also have a readability index, which you might find fun. And then we have a section about support. And Alana pointed something out to me. It might look like this is a check mark that we're giving on the ballot initiative, but we were talking about it. That's the campaign logo. that they're using, I think, throughout Illinois. Is that correct?
I believe so. I've seen it in Facebook advertisement commercials. So,
And I haven't. And so it just, but I think that was a really good point. But we have this section. So this is the side that supports the ballot initiative. And it goes on to list elected officials and other organizations that have voiced their opinions or come out in support of that ballot initiative. And then also lists the arguments that those supporters are using to tell people why they should support the ballot initiative. And then going down to the opposing the ballot initiative is further information about the groups on the other side. We don't have their logo on this, probably because there are two groups. But again, this lists the opponents and lists both the elected officials and, in this case, individuals and organizations that are notable that are against the ballot measure, and does the same thing, providing the official arguments from both of them. And then down, kind of the last point is just the campaign finance that goes along and the issues that go along with that in support of a ballot initiative. It shows the cash contributions that have been made to fight and oppose, to support and oppose this, and the obviously massive spending going on both sides on this issue. And then it goes on to pull out donors on both sides of the aisle who are for and against this as well. And so just wanted to take a chance to do a deep dive in this and get a chance to show you exactly what it looks like when you're looking at a ballot initiative. Ilana, do you have any questions on that?
No, thank you for the clarification that you were using the logo from the campaign and that it is not a recommendation by Policy Circle or Ballotpedia for how to vote. So that's important.
No, yeah, you were right. And I'm going to mention it to our editorial team because that was a great point. And I can add real quickly, just showing you the rest of the ballot on here. Again, if you go to a contested race, you will see we have information on each of the different people running for office. My computer is being a little slow at the moment, but it will show you information about Dick Durbin and Mark Curran, who are the major party candidates for US Senate in Illinois. It will go on to show you the variety of races in Illinois and Cook County. It looks like you have a lot of judicial races on the ballot, and these are often so important because it's hard to find sometimes information about people on both sides of the aisle. And then going down to the Cook County State's Attorney, and also going down, I mean, you have a tremendous number of judicial races on the ballot this time. You can do some digging about who they are if we have information on them. And obviously it looks like a lot of these races are unopposed. And so it lets you look at that too and informs people. And then it goes down even further because obviously Chicago is one of the top 100 cities in the country and digs into things like the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District and the Cook County Board of Review. And so offices that there's often a lot of not a lot of news about, we provide, and it's our aim to provide coverage someday of every race on the ballot across the country. And one point, like as Ilana pointed out, that the logo, anytime you see something on our website that you have a question about, or if you see something that you think is not right, you can reach out to me or reach out to our help desk, which is easy to find on our website. And we are happy to hear from you and make sure that we are reporting everything correctly. And that, anyway, so I just wanted to point that out because Ballotpedia is very focused on making sure our coverage is accurate every day. And with that, I'm happy to stop sharing my screen and hand it back over to you unless I can answer any other questions, Judy.
That is wonderful, Allison. I know I appreciate the resource that Ballotpedia gives us. I've used it, like I said, and I've shared it with family members. And I encourage all of our Policy Circle member supporters, people on the line, to download the app, look at your, get on Ballotpedia, use it as a resource, and we will link to it in the chat. So thank you. Thank you so much, Allison, for sharing that. And Alana, thank you for being our precious guinea pig. It's a fun way of saying that. And now
Love doing it.
Yes, you are wonderful. You're so good. So we are going to turn it over to Nicole right now, because this is such a big election year with so many questions, and then we have another really great tool available for our members. And Nicole, my wonderful colleague, is going to go through that tool with you guys. So I will exit now and let you guys take it over.
Thank you so much, Judy. And I just want to highlight from what Allison was saying from Ballotpedia, we have, maybe Mary, if you could pop in the chat, the Policy Circle recently released our active voter guide. So this would be a great opportunity to convene with your circles and first-time voters in your life. If you have children, nieces, or nephews, you can come together, have a discussion using our active voter guide, and then use the Ballotpedia sample lookup tool to actually, engage in the conversation, see, okay, actually what's on my ballot. I just learned last night that we have a constitutional amendment question in my state of Missouri, so I will be using this tool as well. So Alana, you're still with us, and we wanted to transition from, now that you understand how to look up your ballot, there's a lot of questions out there about how to actually cast your ballot. So I'm also going to share my screen here. And see, Alana, can you give me a thumbs up if you could see my screen? All right, excellent. So Policy Circle, this year, we are really excited to be listed as a partner, an election partner with a media company called The Skim. Huge company. Maybe some of you actually received their newsletter, and they have a number of different tools and resources available for first-time voters or voters who continue to vote, but maybe they're looking at doing early voting instead, or absentee voting. So we're actually going to dive into one of the tools, and we should pop the link in the chat so you can actually access this page. It's theskim.com/2020. So I'm going to click over here on the Take Action button on their whole page on voting on your turn. So Alana, we're actually going to look at Illinois, and maybe some of your questions might be answered here.
That'll be great. And I just wanted to add, thank you so much for that presentation, because now I have an additional tool to share with Policy Circle members, people that subscribe to my Facebook page.
Excellent.
As well.
Yeah,
a call is coming in. This is actually wonderful on the phone because it is answered.
Excellent.
So
yeah.
With that, go ahead, Nicole.
I'm getting a little delay on my end, but thank you for sharing that. That's why we're doing this webinar today, and sharing these different tools. So over at the Skim, we just pulled up the state of Illinois, and there's all kinds of different voting requirements. And what's fun is when you start diving into some of these tools, we start to realize actually, voting and the election process is a little more complicated, especially these days. So it's just good to have this information. So I'm just going to click on the upcoming election dates and deadlines here. So for all of our, we're kind of focusing on Illinois today. You could see new voter registration deadlines, and you can see the different types of deadlines. So, Sunday, October 18th is the deadline to register to vote online. It looks like you all also have election day registration. You have different ways to request absentee ballots. I'll also highlight here via this tool that early voting has started in Illinois. So as of September 24th, folks in Illinois, you could actually go and vote in person, but early. So that's one feature that's really good to understand.
Yeah.
There's also, do you know where your polling place is, Alana?
I am not sure where it is, but I know where to go look for it. because that information keeps changing. And the most up-to-date information is located at the county level, at least for the state of Illinois, because every county has a little bit of a wrinkle to it, and they have slightly different dates. And where you go to vote depends on where you live, and that information will be on the county website.
Absolutely. Yeah. I just clicked on the link to find polling locations. So if this is especially relevant if you have a new voter and they haven't really been part of that voting process, this is a good one-stop shop for them to discover, well, where should I actually go to vote?
And then just one other thing I wanted to mention for the state of Illinois, early voting polling places locations are different than, oops, I don't know where I went. Hopefully you can still see me. I have different things on my phone now. So there are different locations for early voting and for voting on November 3rd. So I just want to make sure that people don't assume that they are the same locations, because they are different.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And that's why it's so important to, I think the overall message today is be prepared, be prepared, use the next couple of weeks to start preparing for your plan, how you're going to vote on election day. And there's one other, we're not going to dive into every little piece here. You can see it's a very robust tool that they have, but the different, this has been a question, and I know Alana, this has been a question for you is, what if I get my absentee ballot because I requested one, but I want to make sure that it's counted. What can I do with it? Where can I bring it? And there are some states that are allowing you to return your absentee ballot in person. So this is just kind of a grid here that shows in Illinois that's available to you. You cannot submit it online or via email. You can obviously mail it. Looks like maybe some states have a fax option. So this is just something we wanted to show you all. We'll pop in the chat this tool. It's a really great way for you to understand, how you should be casting your ballot. You really start thinking about these things now, because the election's going to be upon us November 3rd. It's less than a month away. So thank you, Alana, for joining us on our call. And Alana, I just want to, before I conclude and turn it back over to Judy, anything that you learned today from our conversation that you maybe wanted to share?
Yeah, absolutely. It's, as I mentioned, it's wonderful to have this tool where all the questions can be answered in one place. Additional information about different amendments and candidates are also located. I like the fact that it is unbiased, because people need to get educated on both sides of the issue before they can make a decision. So these are really great tools that I will be using and I will be sharing with others to use as well.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you, Alana. This has been such a pleasure and a treat having you on with us. I'm going to turn it back over to Judy and Allison.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Nicole and Alana, for showing us that tool and sharing that with us. And I wanted everybody to also read our latest post about voting. So we post a lot at the Policy Circle. So we're going to put that post in the chat, how to be informed about absentee voting and stuff like that. So read that. We're all about educating people, right? Like, we're just going to be the smartest women in the world when we're all done, and that's the whole point. So, hey, Allison, I have one question that was submitted for you. One of our supporting members, Kay Jackson, sent in a question, and she said she's from Wisconsin, so she's in your home state. She wants to know, what is the difference between mail-in ballots and absentee ballots?
That is a really good question. And I actually talked to the folks on our team who look at all of those things. And there's actually no consensus opinion that there is a functional difference between the two. But there are some individual states, Pennsylvania and Missouri, that treat the two differently. And so in those states, for example, mail-in ballots are just universally available to anybody, while absentee ballots are restricted to voters meeting a specific eligibility criteria. And the procedures accordingly vary between the two somewhat, but this is an exception, probably more than the norm. And in the broader kind of national discourse that we're witnessing firsthand, the terms are really used interchangeably, and there's really not a distinguishing element in the vast majority of the states.
Interesting. So I know in Illinois, I'm going to admit that when my kids were little, I would request an absentee ballot, and I had to have kind of a reason of why I was voting absentee. There wasn't a check mark that was like, my kids are little and I don't want to bring them to the polling place, is really what I didn't want to do. So I always voted absentee. But then I started hearing people were just getting ballots mailed to them. So there really was a question of, is there a difference between requesting an absentee ballot or a mail-in ballot? And we've been getting that question a lot. So it's good to hear that nobody really knows the difference, basically. Like, there's different ways of talking about it. But I am in Illinois, and early voting has started, and our early voting in my county happens at the county building. I feel really, really secure in going and voting. I have to go through security. I get scanned. It's just like voting on voting day. I'm in my own little booth, and then I get to put my ballot directly in a box that is under surveillance 24 hours a day, and it's locked. So I, in the last couple of elections, have taken advantage of early voting here in my county. So, just appreciative that you came on, that you shared your tool with us, Allison. It's a wonderful tool. I hope that everybody on the call downloads the app, visits your website, signs up for those newsletters that you get, because being educated today is so important. So really appreciate you coming on and sharing your wisdom and knowledge with us. So grateful for you and your partnership with Ballotpedia. And everybody, thank you so much for just circling up today to better understand your ballot. And we have a lot of really great things happening at the Policy Circle right now. We've got some next week. We are doing a really neat conversation, a Policy Circle conversation over educational savings account. And we will be having it in the evening. We will be breaking up into small groups. So you will have a real Policy Circle conversation over our education savings account policy brief. So we encourage you to, sign up for that call. And then we will put in the chat, we are going to have a program on the 20th of this month, a look at socialism in America. So we would love for you to be part of that conversation as well. And like Nicole said earlier, the Active Voter Guide. This all starts with the Active Voter Guide. Read it, share it, host a conversation over it. If you have never hosted a conversation, reach out to me. I will show you how easy it is to convene and run the roundtable discussion model. And we greatly appreciate you circling up with us today. And if you have had, if you've benefited from this program or from any of the other programs that we've done, we ask that you, think about making a monetary donation to the Policy Circle so that we can expand our mission and our outreach, because civil discourse is so important today. And that is what we are all about, bringing civil discourse back to policy ideas in these conversations. So thank you, ladies, for joining us. We hope you have a great day, and vote. All right, bye-bye.